Hello everyone, today we return with yet another Hitbox video. On the menu today we have Pacman, one of the older characters in the game, only being beaten out by Game & Watch. In terms of the Smash games, he's only been around since Smash 4 however, but perhaps his aged wisdom will help his hitboxes in tackling these young whippersnappers. Well, why don't we take a look. As usual, if you want to support me, you can do so on my Patreon. There are new character polls there you can vote for, should you wish to do so. And if there's a character you want me to cover in the future video, there's a section below where you can comment on such things. Visuals were made by Zeckemyro, links in the description. First order of business is his jab, which is by all means nothing special. Hitbox-wise, it does leave quite a bit to be desired, having 4 hitboxes overlaid in the usual pattern, having 2 hitboxes on the tipper, and 2 others to cover close to his body. It really doesn't reach very far. It's very middling, to be honest. Jab 2 is much the same, just having the same structure as Jab 1, and being a bit bigger, and the launcher is simply 2 hitboxes launching away. Nothing special here really. So for F-Tilt we have to talk about something regarding the hitbox visuals. In Smash there is a thing called model scaling. On certain moves on certain characters, for the sake of giving some moves a little extra animation flourish, they will increase the size of the limbs where the attack happens briefly to make it look more punctuated. However, on these moves, the hitboxes will often scale along with the model. The problem is that the model scaling does not show up in the hitbox visualizer on certain moves like this one, meaning it will lead to the moves looking a lot more disjointed than they actually are. Now with F-Tilt this is the case, and this is how the visual looks in the visualizer. The hitbox itself is accurate here, however the hurtbox should be quite a lot bigger. We can see this if we enable invincibility and grab a star. Here you can see how much bigger his leg hurtbox is actually during this move. So keep that in mind when looking at this move. Now, actually talking about his F-Tilt, it's actually really good given how far it reaches. It has 3 hitboxes, all of which are exactly the same, just knocking the opponent away. You can angle the move up or down, but as usual this does not affect the positions of the hitboxes too much. The lean forward Pacman really does the move a big favor, but the hitbox is definitely respectable as well. This model scaling thing does not really happen on too many other of Pacman's moves. However, it does show up on various other characters we'll be looking at in the future. Downtilt is another quite simple move consisting only of a single hitbox. It just kinda knocks you back and deals a bit of damage. It's fairly quick if nothing else and does leap pretty far forward when you use it, giving it not exactly a disjoint, but more range than you would think at first glance. Aside from that, there's not really too much to say about it. It's a decent move. Speaking of not having too much to say, we have Up Tilt, which is definitely not one of his better moves. In fact, it might just be his worst. The move looks like this, consisting of 2 hitboxes above him. Both of them have the same damage, just launching up, and when I say above him, I do mean directly above him, making its utility very narrow overall. Quite the nerf from the headbutt he used to have in Smash 4. This move is bad, there's just not too much to say about it. Dashtag has Pacman sliding along the ground. On the first few frames he has wind boxes that push the opponent back, making the later hitboxes a bit more reliable. The hitboxes appear and disappear 4 times before the move is over, dealing some damage and launching the opponent on the final hit. The move actually has very little lag if you account for the last active frame, until you have control of Pacman again, making it pretty hard to punish sometimes. It's a nice move for covering landings and just applying pressure in general. Also, just have to mention that in the files, for moves where Pacman is shaped like this, the bones used for the model are just referred to as Pizza Pacman, which I just thought was a bit humorous. Pacman's grab is actually really good, which is surprising seeing how it used to be so awful in Smash 4. The grab lingers for a long time and reaches pretty far forward, making it great for covering ledge get-ups and covering shield in pressure situations. It even catches spot dodges a lot of the time. The dash and pivot grab are pretty much the same however, and do not really reach that much further than the standing one. So if there's anything to hold it back, I guess it's that. But it's overall just an amazing grab. Keeping in theme with almost every move he has, neutral air only has a single hitbox. However, in this case I would certainly not complain, seeing how it's an excellent hitbox. On the first few frames it's huge, covering all of Pacman and a lot to his sides actually. After a bit it gets slightly smaller and weaker, and it stays like this for a little while until once again it gets smaller and weaker, now being only the size of Pacman, which again lingers for a while before ending. It's a strong move and way more disjointed than you actually think at first glance. For forward air we have a kick out in front of Pacman, consisting of 2 hitboxes, both of which are the same however, dealing the same damage and knockback. The hitboxes are pretty big all things considered for how quick the move comes out, and you can even use it several times in the air since it doesn't have much lag at all. There's also a sneaky little easter egg hidden in the data of this move. The move deals exactly 7.65 damage, and the numbers 765 when read out in Japanese in a certain way, sound a lot like you're saying Namco, as in Bandai Namco, the co-developers of Ultimate and the creators of Pacman back in the day. This is apparently a pretty common Easter egg they like to put in their games, and also served as a nice little buff to Forward Air, since it used to deal a lot less damage in Smash 4. Anyways, secrets aside, there's no secret that this movie is really good, one of his best in my reckoning. Pacman's backer is basically a more toned down version of Snake's backer. The two moves certainly look very similar at least. However, in terms of frame data, Pacman seems to kinda just get the diet version, having a lot less active frames while also not really having nearly as much lag. It's got two hitboxes which once again have the same properties, launching away with pretty good power on the first 3 frames. After this, however, it gets a bit weaker, though they do stick around for a while, and due to the steep angle of the move, it might catch an unfortunate opponent offstage. For upper, we once again have two hitboxes which we're quite familiar with by now. In this case, the move is a backflip kick in the air, starting out in front of Pacman and lingering all the way to the other side, lasting quite a while since the move is pretty slow in movement. It also has an unusual mechanic where the move pushes you up a bit when you use it, leading you to reach a bit higher than you would otherwise, which is kind of fun I suppose, and also you can do this, which is just fun, you know. Last up for his aerials we have Down Air, which is a multi-hit move hitting 4 times. On the first 3 frames it has 3 hitboxes. The red one is the highest priority and launches down. This hitbox and the other 2 overlapped hitboxes can only hit aerial opponents, while the remaining overlapped hitbox only hits grounded. On the final hit, the move simply has a huge launch hitbox, covering far below Pacman and naturally dealing a bit of damage. Now as for Pacman's specials, they are a bit unusual to say the least, all doing different things and working in different ways. As for up B, we can't actually visualize the move properly, so I'm gonna use footage from the visualizer mod. Now with that said, the hitbox is pretty much just what you would expect. It covers Pacman as he bounces upwards, but not too much. It's mainly used as a recovery move. However, do be careful since other people also can bounce on your trampoline and cause you to fall. Side B is a bit of a quirky move, well in basically every other way than in terms of hitboxes. The hitboxes is just a single hitbox that moves along with Pacman. The strength of the move does vary on a few different conditions however. First, the move has 2 different versions, the version that is anything but the fully charged version and the max charge version, which just simply deals more damage when it's fully charged. It also matters for damage if the power pellet has been eaten, dealing more damage afterwards. Also right after eating it, he has some knockback based armor of 100 units. Besides that, it's a pretty flexible move, good for recovering and good for some improvised combos. For more wacky moves, we have Hydrant. When dropped in the air, the move has a hitbox on the way down, which looks like this, having a hitbox outlining the hydrant sticking out a bit at the bottom. At this point, the hydrant deals 9 damage. While descending, you cannot hit the hydrant yet. However, after it lands, it gains this hurt box and can be attacked. After taking 13% damage or more, you can launch the hydrant and it gains this hitbox while traveling. The angle of the hydrant is dependent on the angle of the move that launched it, letting you get pretty creative with how you launch it. While on the ground, it shoots out water. And sorry to ruin your immersion here, but these are actually wind boxes, pushing you back. Looking like this. If you stand on top of the hydrant, it blasts upwards, which is a bit fun, but that is about all there is to it, which was actually quite a bit to be fair. Bonus Fruit is Pacman's neutral special, and I just have to ask why they call it Bonus Fruit when there are airplanes, bells, and keys in the mix. No thanks Pacman, I think I'll skip the smooth this time. While using this move, you will shift through various fruits and other objects. You can stop at any time and hold the current item and throw it later, all of which have various effects and interactions. However, as far as hitboxes go, they are all the same across the board, just being a circle around the object. Not too exciting, but the movie is really strong to be fair, so maybe that's a good thing. Now, finally, for his smash attacks, we actually have a really good collection of moves. Starting off with his up smash where we have Inky, one of the ghosts from original Pacman, being summoned above Pacman. Sadly, he does not show up in the visual, but at least in the game he is represented. The move initially has a scooping hitbox that launches up into the up smash, something his up tilt was sorely missing before this. Beyond that, it's just a single hitbox launching away, starting out strong and getting a bit weaker and smaller as it goes on. And go on it does, because as you'll see with all these moves, they linger for quite a while, meaning it's great for catching people in the air or scooping up people from the ground after a whiff. For F smash we have a similar story, this time featuring Blinky. When the move first comes out it has 2 hitboxes, a red sweet spot and a purple sour spot closer to Pacman. To be fair though, it's hardly a sour spot since it only deals a single % less than the red one. Just like with up smash, it gets smaller and weaker a bit later on, but still lingers a long time afterwards. And the sweet spot early on is actually really powerful, so the move is nothing to be trifled with. And finally we have Down Smash, rounding out the Ghost Gang, consisting of Pinky and Clyde shooting off to the sides. As you can probably guess by now, the first few frames are sweet spots, while the lingering frames are a bit weaker. It's the same as the rest, but that's really not a bad thing, seeing how they're all really good. These smash attacks are just really good overall, good size and power, no complaints from me. But with that, we have finished up all Pacman's hitboxes. They were actually quite in line with what I was expecting for a change. Nothing crazy, but by that it's also pretty reliable, which for when you're a zoner is all you could ask for at the end of the day. Also, sorry if this video took a little bit longer to finish than I wanted. I have been sick for the last 2 weeks, and also I'm finishing up my bachelor this month, so finding time to work on videos was a bit tricky. However, once all that is done, I'm going to make up for the time and get some good work done. So that pretty much does it. Again, if there is a character you want to cover, let me know and all that for next time. So until then, I'll see you later.